When people talk about CERN, they usually divide into two camps. One side says it is just a laboratory. The other whispers about portals, rituals, hidden dimensions, and machines that should never have been switched on. But here is the uncomfortable part. Before you add a single conspiracy, the real facility is already one of the most unnatural places ever built by human hands. Beneath the border of France and Switzerland, near Geneva, sits the Large Hadron Collider, a circular machine roughly 27 kilometers around, buried about 100 meters underground. Inside that ring, particles are pushed to nearly the speed of light, sent in opposite directions through separate vacuum pipes, and forced to collide at points watched by detectors the size of buildings. That is the official version. And even that sounds like something from a forbidden archive. The magnets guiding those beams are not ordinary magnets. CERN says parts of the system are cooled to minus 271.3 degrees Celsius, colder than outer space. The ring contains more than 1,000 dipole magnets to bend the beams, and hundreds of quadrupole magnets to focus them. Right before collision, the particles must be squeezed with such precision that CERN compares it to firing two needles from 10 kilometers apart and making them meet halfway. Pause on that for a moment. Humanity built a frozen underground racetrack for invisible matter, then learned how to make particles strike each other with needle-level precision. That is not mythology. That is engineering. And the detectors are just as strange. Atlas sits in a cavern around 100 meters below ground. It is 46 meters long, 25 meters high, 25 meters wide, and weighs about 7,000 tons. CMS, another general-purpose detector, uses a magnetic field about 100,000 times stronger than the Earth's magnetic field and weighs around 14,000 tons. These machines are not watching sparks. They are trying to read the debris of reality itself. Officially, the work is about fundamental physics. The Standard Model, the Higgs boson, dark matter candidates, extra dimensions, antimatter, and the questions left over from the earliest universe. That is where the public fascination begins. Because when scientists speak about hidden dimensions and invisible matter, the internet hears a different language. Here's a door. Now, there is no evidence that CERN has opened a portal, summoned anything, or pierced some forbidden wall between worlds. But there is a reason the story spreads. CERN sits at the psychological border between science and the unknown. It is public, but still incomprehensible to most people. It is documented, but buried. It is international, but guarded. And it studies forces so small and so violent that they shaped everything after the birth of the universe. That combination creates fear. Not because the facts prove the rumors, but because the facts are powerful enough to make the rumors feel possible. Look at the imagery around it. Tunnels disappearing into darkness, cryogenic pipes, massive steel chambers, warning signs, control rooms, collision maps, and detectors that resemble mechanical temples. The aesthetic alone makes CERN feel less like a lab and more like a machine built to ask questions that ancient people would have called sacred. That is the real mystery. Not whether a monster came through the machine. Not whether a ritual changed the timeline. The real question is whether human beings can build tools so advanced that the average person can no longer tell the difference between science and sorcery. CERN may be completely safe. It may be one of the greatest scientific achievements in history, but it also represents something darker in the human imagination. The moment we stop simply observing nature and begin forcing nature to answer. And when you force reality to answer, you never fully know what else might hear the question. So the next time someone laughs at the fear surrounding CERN, remember this: the fear does not come from ignorance alone. It comes from scale, from secrecy by complexity, from tunnels below borders, from magnets colder than space, from invisible beams moving near light speed, from machines designed to recreate conditions connected to the birth of everything. Maybe CERN is only a laboratory, but if humanity ever built a doorway and called it an experiment, would the world recognize it before the door opened? If you want the next investigation, comment which subject we should enter next. The ice beyond Antarctica, the firmament, ancient cults, or creatures that should not exist.